Hi, my name is Jay Livens. Thank you for joining us today for this Actifio webinar series, Episode 2. Joining me is Brylan Achilles, Actifio's Global Field CTO. In this session, we will discuss object storage integration, which Actifio calls OnVault. Brylan, why don't you give us a little bit of a summary of OnVault?
Sure. What Actifio OnVault is the ability to take data sets, whether they're databases, virtual machines, or file systems, and leverage the economies of object storage to store them very, very cost effectively on premises, in the cloud, and use that data for all the different use cases, backup and recovery, test data management, or even analytics.
So if I'm an end user and I'm thinking about using object storage or Actifio's OnVault, one of the things I think that jumps out at me is the very powerful and compelling economics of object storage. It's very inexpensive and massively scalable. From a retention standpoint, that seems like it would deliver tremendous business value because it'd be very cost effective. But the first question I would have is, how do I access that data? Once the data is in my object storage, whether local or in the cloud or whatever, how do I get it back?
Yeah, so the beauty of the integration, how we use object storage, is a little bit different than other solutions. We take the blocks of data that are in native format and we simply store them in object based on a service level agreement or an SLA. And so what that means is we're not doing complex data manipulation or format conversions and then tiering off to object. We are making object storage a part of the data lifecycle management for that application. And so when it comes time to access, just like if your data was stored locally on high performance media, we can recreate the entire data set in short order with our instant mount capability. So a 5 terabyte file system from 7 years ago, we can retrieve the file that you need in just a couple of minutes. If you want to bring up an Oracle database, multi-terabyte Oracle database in the cloud for test and development, we can do that on object storage as well. So it really brings that instant access, instant mount capability that Actifio is famous for with the economies of scalability and economics of object storage.
Fantastic. I bet customers would love to see a demo. So let's go look at one right now of how Actifio works with object storage with OnVault technology.
One of the newer features we're very excited about here at Actifio is our new object storage integration. If you take a look at the SLA architect, we've got our source data here, production, and we've always been able to incrementally forever capture data from the source, update our native format snapshot pool locally, replicate data, as well as provide global deduplication and compression for longer term retention. What we've added is this pool right here in the middle called OnVault, which is our object storage integration. And the way that it works is we are able to incrementally forever move blocks of data from Actifio into object storage pools, whether they're locally on premises or whether they're in the public cloud, and provide that same functionality of having instant access to native format data just simply extended to object storage. We're treating object storage as if it was any other local media. We're not using it as a way to tier off deduplicated blocks and as a storage optimization feature. We're treating object storage just as it was native local block storage. So there's some really, really cool capabilities you get from that architectural design. So let's take a look at what I mean. If I jump over to the application manager, I'll do a search here for a VMware virtual machine called Windows, and we're using the Platinum SLA, which is the one we just saw, which uses our object storage as well. So if I click on Access, we're going to have a number of application consistent images of that entire virtual machine. All of these were arrived at doing incremental forever work. I've got my snapshot pool, I've got my dedupe pool, I've got my remote dedupe, and the blue ones all the way on the right are the object storage. And so you can see the SLA is set up to keep a short period of time ready to go on site in native format. As data gets older, we leverage deduplication, and then we've got object storage for that longer term archive. So let's go all the way back here to one of these older images. I can choose this one here from the 1st of December, so a few weeks ago, and we're going to create a virtual copy of the data directly from object storage. And so at the top here, I'm going to make a VM called Object VM, and it's going to ask me where do I want to put that, which vCenter environment, which ESX host, which data store do I want to store the configuration files. And once I've made all my choices, I simply come down to the bottom here and choose Mount. And what that's going to do is submit a job and present a view of the blocks of data, from Actifio directly to that ESX server and allow us to create that virtual machine that's going to run directly off of that object storage. And so if I click on System Monitor, I can come here and take a look at our job. This is our OBGA VM that we created, and I'll kind of put this over here on the side. And then on the left, we'll log into vCenter. And so what we're doing right now while this job is running, and I can actually put them side by side here. What we're doing is we are creating a virtual view of the blocks of data from that virtual machine, at the point of capture from the 1st of December. And we are presenting that block device from Actifio directly to that ESX server. Once that takes place, we're going to do a number of API commands directly with VMware to make that data available. And so the first thing you're going to see happen here as this job progresses is we're going to have a bus rescan on that ESX host number 1, where I chose to present this data to. Once the data is available, we're then going to make some additional VMware API commands to make the blocks of data into a virtual machine. And so here you can see right here, we're adding in a static target here to ESX host number 1. Now we're rescanning the bus so that we can find that block device. And then the next command you're going to see after that completes is we're going to create a new virtual machine with whatever name that I typed into the screen. OBJVM, I believe is what it was. And this is all going to happen at the speed that it takes to really just do these metadata operations, the speed that it takes to rescan buses and reconfigure virtual machines. The size of the virtual machine doesn't matter because we're not having to do a full data movement or any sort of format conversions. We're simply taking the blocks of data where they sit today on that object storage and providing them access directly to the ESX host. And so it looks like that's all completed. If I scroll down to the bottom here, we're going to have a new virtual machine here called OBJVM that wasn't there before. And I can actually right-click, open the console, just like any other virtual machine in the environment, and I can power it on. I can do a storage vMotion of this running virtual machine from object storage over to your local data stores. So what we've really done with Actifio is we've extended the incremental forever native format functionality of our platform all the way to object storage, allowing customers to use object storage like any other, to run workloads directly off of object storage, to recover files from 7 years ago, to leverage very cost-effective DR in the public cloud. So it's a very, very interesting architecture of how we've integrated it into our platform, and it allows really, really interesting use cases, instant access to data, regardless of whether it's on local disk or even in the public cloud on object storage.
Thanks, Brylan, for that demo. Welcome back, everyone. In this session, we talked about Actifio's OnVault technology, which integrates object storage into Actifio's platform. We talked about how it can deliver powerful economics and scale, while also offering the ability to deliver instant mounts. So thanks so much for attending this brief webcast.